Hey there. Are you looking to sell your home the for sale by owner way? Then check out Listella. Listella is an online real estate platform where you can directly buy and sell homes with no negotiations and no commission. Sellers save the 6% they would typically pay an agent, and buyers can find and buy a home in as little as 14 days. The best part? If you're a Travel Brats listener and you list your home on Listella, you'll get 20% off the listing fee with code TRAVEL. That's capital TRAVEL. Check them out at listella.com or download the Listella app today. Looking for the cutest new travel pieces for your adventure wardrobe? Then shop Best Dressed. From gorgeous sundresses to adorable bikinis and cozy sweaters, Best Dressed has the perfect travel pieces for any vacation destination. Check them out at shopbestdressed.com and use code TRAVELBRAT20 for 20% off the entire store.
Hey y'all. I'm Soph.
And I'm Nat.
And we're the Travel Brats.
Welcome to our podcast.
We've been putting the brat in travel
Since 2020.
and we're just getting started.
From hidden gems to world-class travel.
We've been sharing hot and not destinations from a bird's eye view and a party of two.
So what's on the itinerary today?
Hey, Travel Brats. It's Soph coming to you from the studio, and today we'd like to welcome Italian locals and active travel experts Heather Dowd and Beppe Salerno. As a native Italian, Beppe Salerno started his cycling tour guide in 2000, and he never imagined that he would make a career in active travel. 8 years later, he started Tourissimo with the intent of becoming a leader in active travel in Italy. With the help of his wife Heather, Tourissimo grew exponentially, becoming one of the top adventure travel operators in Italy. Tourissimo has even been featured in Forbes magazine as the best active travel with a woman's touch. Beppe and Heather know Italy as well as anyone in the industry, and they have designed tours spanning all 20 regions of Italy. In addition to offering fixed departure tours, Beppe and Heather work with private groups, tour operators, and travel agents to provide high-quality, intelligently designed, and exciting custom itineraries all over the country. Hey, Heather. Hey, Beppe. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks
you.
so much for having us.
Sure. We've been super excited for this interview. We love Italy, and we want to learn so much more about it. So I want to start by just kind of diving into the birth of Tourissimo and you guys. So tell us about both of yourselves, kind of where you came from, where you are now.
Yeah, well, I'm from Brockton, Mass, which is about 30 minutes outside of Boston. I lived there most of my life through my 30s and got a job there in travel after college. And that's where we met. So Beppe here, where are you from?
I'm from Italy, in the region of Piemonte, so northwestern part of Italy. I've been traveling back and forth between Italy and the States for about 20 years. At some point, I met Heather, and that's where the story of Tourissimo and our story together started.
Yeah, well, we actually met when we were both working for another travel company. I was in their sales and customer service office, and I think you had actually come over on a vacation or something, right? And he was working for the same company, so he stopped by the office, and that's where we met and hit it off. And we realized after he left and went back to Italy, we were staying in touch, but like every day. And then we were Skyping, we were texting, and it somehow just started a long distance relationship, and we were long distance for 3 years. And in that time, growing in our own careers and life paths, but realizing we wanted to be together. And so just the natural next step was Tourissimo that came out of that.
I love that. That's so cool. It's one of those things that it happens to other people, but you don't hear it a lot. It's like kind of a movie scenario, and now you guys are entrepreneurs together. So I think that's really, really fun. And where are you located now?
Oh, that's a good question. So we really do split our time. Like right now we're in Italy, we're in Turin, where his family's from, but we also spend a lot of time back in the States. So we go back and forth quite a bit.
Business has two sides. The Italian side, we're busy with operations, and the US side, where we do marketing and promotions.
And so, yeah, we have offices. We have an office in the Boston area and also one here in Turin.
Now, do you guys find that difficult kind of having half of your life in America and half of your life in Italy? Or you used to the bopping around?
Yeah, used to it now. It kind of feels now like the plane ride just kind of feels like a commute. If that makes
That's
sense.
great.
Yeah,
An
so
extra
it's
long.
long, it's tiring, there's the jet lag, but we really do, especially now we're so connected with social media, with video. I video chat with my mom all the time when I'm not there, and he does the same with your family when we're in America. So we feel so close. It's almost like the distance doesn't exist. And yeah, that plane ride really just does feel like a commute.
That's interesting where because of the day and age that we live in, you're able to do that. Where if this were an older scenario, you wouldn't be able to keep in touch with your family and you wouldn't, be able to market your business like that. It'd probably be much more Italian, than you have all these American tourists coming over. They know about you guys. It wouldn't just be word of mouth. So it's an interesting thing to think about where it makes it easier for Heather, you as an American to be in Italy, and Beppe, you too as well. You can get in touch with the Italian family, even if you're, across the world. So it's interesting. And I want to just touch a little bit more on just the love of travel, because I know you guys love travel and that inspired everything. You guys probably clicked well from that big aspect of your lives as well as started your business. So what really inspired the love of travel for each of you?
I'll
You want
start.
first?
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about because for me, I didn't even take my first plane ride until I was 21 years old in college. That's because my mom had a fear of flying. So we only took road trips in the New England area and around. Like we would go to New Hampshire, we would go to the big cities, New York, DC, etc. And even in those little trips closer to home, I think I always loved being in new situations, uncomfortable situations where you're out of your routine and have to figure things out. Things aren't normal, even though New York and Boston are similar, right? They're still very different cultures and you're out of your daily routine. So I always liked that challenge. But it was after that my first time on an airplane out of the country was to Nicaragua with an organization I worked with in college. And that I think really brought something out in me that had always been there and I hadn't really realized it. I think for me, this love of travel is that the challenge of being able to figure things out, to communicate, to find your way around, right? And to connect with different people and different cultures. So for me, I think it was always there and I just had to uncover it. And I really uncovered that as a young adult, and it's just continued to grow as I've gotten older.
That's great. I find that you appreciate it a lot more as an adult too. So the way that it worked out for you, it may have been great.
So for me, in Europe, we had this, or we used to have a special train ticket where you could travel throughout Europe. It was called Interrail. So with a bunch of friends and my younger brother, after high school, we took this trip backpacking throughout Europe, and that really broadened my horizons I think that was part of my love for travel. Not only seeing places, but having quality time with friends and my brother while on the road. That was special.
Yeah. Now, before we jump into Italy, because I want to ask you guys, since you did do quite a bit of range of traveling, where were some of the places besides Italy? Because that's what we're going to go through that you really enjoyed. Maybe some other places in Europe, Beppe and Heather, if there were any memorable spots that you went to that really kind of kept inspiring the love of travel.
Well, for me, southern Spain, which is a place where I lived and worked, and I just loved the culture. I'm a night owl, so I love having dinner at 10 o'clock and sleeping in and having a siesta during the day. That pace of life and just the joy everyone has there and their priorities, just being out and socializing. I fit right in. It just felt like a natural culture for me. I also love the sea. Mountains are great, but I'm more of a seaside person. So beaches in Mexico and Panama. I studied Spanish in college, so a lot of the places I've been outside of Italy are Spanish speaking. So yeah, but for me, southern Spain, and I think Central America and also Mexico.
Can't go wrong with any of those places. I'm a beach girl myself. And have you found, Heather, that being able to speak Spanish has helped you with your Italian?
Absolutely. When I first came here and started, communicating with people, with his family, I found I could understand or infer most of what was going on, even though I couldn't really express myself or speak. But so many words are similar, the conjugations are similar, so that helped quite a bit.
And Beppe, tell us about your European adventures.
Well, I really like Greece, which is not that different from Italy, but it's the culture there is even more interesting in many ways. I love the people there. So if I had to pick one place, it would be Greece other than Italy.
That's a good pick. Yeah, somewhere that's just totally, it's beautiful, the food, the people. And now, guys, I want to jump into Tourissimo. So how was Tourissimo initially founded?
Well, yeah, going back to how we met and then our journey personally intertwined with professionally. So we both were working in the travel industry, so we have that background. I started in travel in 2008. Beppe goes back even further in travel. Our paths crossed. I also think that both of us, though, are entrepreneurs at heart. I was just discovering that in myself. And Beppe has started businesses with his family and has a background in that as well. So we reached a point personally and professionally where it made sense, and where we had the strength, the bravery, I don't know, the thing you need, right, to go out on your own. And we realized that we could actually do it. What makes Tourissimo special, or one of the things, is that we focus on Italy only. A lot of other people who do what we do, which is cycling tours, right, cycle tourism, we'll do the whole world or several different countries or a region, or we decided to dive deep into Italy, and we're really the only company doing that. So Beppe is Italian. I come from an Italian background. My grandmother was Italian. We spend a lot of time over here. I myself have visited all 20 regions of Italy at this point. I think, Beppe, you're probably up to 18 or 19 as well, maybe 19. So we have the knowledge, we have the expertise, and so we decided to make that leap, and that was in 2015. That's when Tourissimo began. It was just the two of us in our living room, marketing, putting the tours together, and starting with a small group of clients, and many of them had known us from our previous jobs, who trusted us to put those first trips together in 2016. And things spread from there, both word of mouth, and then also just building up our reputation, good marketing. We've grown ever since.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we had the confidence that we could do something different. I don't want to say better, but different, more authentic, and focusing on Italy 100%.
Right. I know you guys had found that niche in the market. Was that just something that kind of came to you guys, where you said, hey, we should start a company that really focuses on Italy, or you wanted a different kind of travel? I know you guys do very rugged, fun, a lot of biking. How did that kind of come up? How did you find that need in the market?
Well, we were trying to match the need. Okay. So Italy is a popular destination, but there's a lot to see. It's not just about the main cultural city. There's a lot packed into a fairly small country. So the need and the will to visit Italy, it's always been there. At the same time, Italy has never really recovered from the 2008 financial crisis. Personally, I felt like an obligation to do something to help the economy in a sustainable way. Tourism is my background. It's my skills are in tourism and marketing. So we try to come up with something that matched the need, the desire to visit Italy, and the product, the tours, the program that are sustainable and help financially and the local economies. So, and that is something that was in our minds, in our plan, and we started communicating. People showed interest in that type of message, that type of approach.
It's true. And I mean, we have guests who travel with us, who've been with us now 5, 6, 7 times, because they've bought into and they understand, right? Italy is diverse. Each region has something different to offer, so they can come back to the same country year after year and not get tired. And we can convince them of that. I think that a lot of other companies, right? And there is, people after they do Italy once or twice, they say, okay, what about France? What about Croatia? What about Sweden? all great locations. We don't have the expertise in those areas, so why try or why outsource, right? We don't outsource. We operate all of our own tours, and that's important so we can control the quality. We use all of our own guides. And we say, no, why not? I mean, Croatia's great, France is great. Again, if you really want to go there, go with another company. Maybe we can even recommend one to you, but if you want to go there, perhaps you would try a different region of Italy instead. And more often than not, they do. And they say, oh, you were right. That was a totally different experience. It was amazing. And where do you recommend I go next? In Italy. So it just shows you, right, that there is so much more to offer beyond what the first impression of Italy is.
Well, that's a great point. I think that's what makes you guys so special is, you are native Italian. Even Heather, you have Italian roots, and you guys know the country well. You know how special it is. And there's so many regions and just towns, places that people haven't been to because they're not like the thing that pops up first on Viator or Expedia. And so, let's have a more interesting experience where if you've already seen the Colosseum or the Leaning Tower of Pisa, we can go here and you can really experience how the locals, experience it, and you can have the local food and we can travel this way. And so I think that's really interesting where Italy's so big. And, I've been there, but I've done the main tourist things. I've gone to Venice and I've, walked the streets, and I've gone to the Pisa, and I've gone to, Rome and Napoli. And so, but then you're like, well, should we go back? Should we do the same things? Or, what else is there? And so I think that's something that it's emerged a little bit where people used to want to just go travel places and see the main sites. And I think now there's a want to travel more like a local and get more of the the areas that aren't as crowded and just aren't as full of people taking pictures and all the people crowding restaurants, where it's like, let's just go where like nobody knows we're on vacation until we open our mouths and we don't sound like we're Italians. So I do really think it's cool. And I want to know, you had mentioned the tours, Heather. So would you tell me a little bit about just some of the different tours you do and how long they are? And, are they all on bike, or is some of it hiking, or how other ways do you travel and things like that?
Great. Yeah. So all of our tours have an active component or an immersive component, as we say. So most of them are cycling tours. We are adding more and more hiking tours each year. We also do some specialty projects on a private basis that are deep dives into wine, for example, or yoga retreats, things like that. What ties all of these different themes together, though, is Italian culture, which for Italy means food and wine. So people who come on our tours, whether it's a cycling tour, hiking tour, or other sport or interest, right? They also have a love of Italian food and wine and what it means, what a meal in Piedmont is versus a meal in Puglia. And what are the local ingredients? What are the products? What is the land like? What are the preparations? What do they call this pasta shape in this village town versus that hilltop town? We really do nerd out on that level, and our customers love that. So I would say that's the thread that ties all of the trips together. Yeah, they're about week long, usually 7 or 8 days. And we include just about everything. So from the time you arrive in Italy till the time you leave, hotel accommodations, most of the meals, luggage transfer, guides. All of the guides are our guides. Most of them are Italian. All of them have lived in Italy for decades, if they're not Italian, and are experts in their area. They also design our tours, right? So even though we travel extensively, we're not experts in all things Italy. So we actually go to our expert guides in the areas who are speaking the dialects, who know the local operators and producers. So we can really get an insider look into the areas we visit.
That's great. I mean, there's nothing better than being taken around Italy by a local for each region and each city. And could you tell me, if I was a customer coming out of Tourissimo and I didn't, I wanted to go to Italy, but I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted to go, exactly what I wanted to do, for how long, whether I wanted to do more hiking, biking, how would you advise me? And just kind of what's the step-by-step process of what it looks like from when a customer lands on the website to when they actually sign up and commit to a trip?
Sure. Yeah. So most of our customers find us online or by word of mouth. So they've Googled or they've asked a friend. They're already coming in with a base knowledge. I want to go to Italy and I want to ride a bike, or I want to hike. So by the time they're coming to us, they know that. But I want to go a little bit deeper. Have you been to Italy before? Are you celebrating something special? Who are you traveling with? But great, you want to go on a bike tour. What type of riding do you do at home? Where do you live? Is it flats? Do you commute 10 miles to work and back, or do you go out for 50-mile rides on the weekends? Things like that to get a little bit deeper. Because Italy is also quite hilly. Right? We don't want to ever discourage people from riding, but we want to let them know what they're getting into. So finding out that type of rider. And we have riders of all different levels. Isn't that right, Beppe?
Yeah.
So finding out more about them. And then, yeah, what are your interests? What have you heard about Italy? What do you expect to get out of this? Do you like the mountains? Do you like the sea? We've got something for everybody. Or if they're really set on a certain region, why? Why Tuscany? Why Emilia-Romagna? Or would you prefer something else? So really getting into the nitty-gritty. Sometimes it's also a matter of timing, right? I need to go to Italy in June because that's when I can take my vacation, or that's when the kids are out of school, etc. So we look at, okay, that time of year, where are the best locations? The closer we get to summertime, the hotter it gets. So maybe some of the southern locations are going to be too hot, too crowded. Let's look at the north and vice versa. So a lot of different aspects go into it, but we can usually find the right tour for each person based on all those factors. And it usually takes a couple conversations, right? The sales process is long, and we really get to know our customers. People are booking usually at least 6 months in advance, so we get to know them. And then once they do eventually book, they still get follow up and care through our team here in our customer service office here in Italy. They want to know what to do before and after the tour. Oh, we're flying into Rome. I have 2 days. What should I do? How do I get from Rome to the little village where the tour starts? So we offer that level of advice and service as well.
I think that's fantastic because when you have not been to a country like Italy and it's foreign and it's far and you're spending the money, but B, you're a little bit nervous about just the big trip and the foreignness of it. You want to really have your hand held, and you want to also not waste your money or your time, so that whole thing, we're flying into Rome. What do we do for 2 days? That's a great idea. I just love how you guys really cater to each customer. How large do your groups usually end up being?
Very small. We average 8 people for the walking hiking tours, and 12 people, 12 guests for the cycling tours. That's all. 2 guides, sometimes 3 guides for larger groups on more complicated tours with more complicated logistics. So you get to know throughout the week. You get to know each and every guest very well. By the end of the week, you're friends, and the conversations start about planning the next one. Of course, if you've done a good job, which we do, and we can rely on guests coming back and spread the word for us year after year. Actually, in our business dashboard, we had sweet spot 12. So.
That being said, we do a lot of custom and private trips too, and we've done trips for as few as 2 people and as many as 50. So we can plan the logistics around many different situations. But for the public tours that you'll find on the website, 12 is usually the max.
That's a great number. I mean, it's enough to, like you said, make friends. You get to know your tour guides, and then they can manage everyone without having too much trouble. And what a neat thing to just be able to come back and, this is the company I like. I'm going to go to a different region. They're going to hook me up with another great local Italian, or maybe I want to do hiking this time instead of biking and things like that. And I do think the outdoor aspect is so wonderful because you always worry, and you do get a lot of walking in every time you go to Europe. It's so much different from the US, but unless you're in a city in the US, but you worry, I'm gonna eat so much food and I'm gonna go on vacation, where it's like you get the awesome outdoor aspect, you get your exercise in, you can see more of the beautiful landscape, and then you can still not feel guilty, enjoying your wine and enjoying your pasta. So I think it's just great. Now, I want to ask you guys too, I know that your tours probably are kind of based on like region, is that right? If you're covering, if it's like a week-long tour, you probably stay in one region.
That's right, or even one part of a region. Ideally, we don't like to switch hotels every night, so try to stay in one hotel at least for 2 nights, maybe switching hotels 3 times. Some longer tours or some tours that are more cycling focused, you might be switching every night or to cover a bigger part of a region or to go over some mountains. But ideally, you're exploring a smaller part of a region. We're doing a loop ride in the countryside one day, and then the following day traveling from point A to point B, and really getting to know just that small area of a certain region.
One of our most popular tours goes into Slovenia. So with the Friuli Venezia Giulia region. Up in the north is part of Italy, and on the specific tour we go over the border. We visit Slovenia. So two countries in one tour. It works well because of the particular area, the landscape. So there are exceptions too.
Exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
That's great. And I do want to know, you guys, with the hiking and the biking tours, are there cars that you guys take, or do you typically take the train if you've got to get a little longer distance to somewhere else?
We have a support van that follows on all the cycling tours, and that can take riders who maybe want to take part of the day off or don't want to do all of the riding. On hiking tours, if there are portions where we have to drive, sometimes there are, especially on the hiking, because you're not able to cover as much distance, we will drive people for a portion of it.
And you mentioned that when you do interview somebody before you help them select their tour, that you do get their levels and everything. So your tours have similar level riders, hikers. Is that right?
In general, yes.
Much as possible.
Yeah.
Much as possible, because sometimes the fitness level can be subjective. That's why the interview is important. But we do have three levels, try to match guests to the right tours.
We offer training tips. So for those, maybe they're athletic, and we have many guests who are marathon runners or excel in another sport, but they're not used to climbing hills on a bicycle. So, but we know they have the athletic ability if they train. So we offer a training program over the 3 to 6 months. They can get out there and train. For people who do know how to ride bikes, but maybe don't have the strength or stamina yet, we offer e-bikes. When we ride together, and he's much stronger than I am, I have an e-road bike I'll use when we want to go out on longer rides or go out into the mountains. So there are opportunities for that. For people who do have the experience, but maybe not the stamina, we can help by the e-bike, or again, maybe you hop in the van for a little bit. But yeah, we wouldn't put a novice on a mountain ride or something like that. Or if somebody wants to do an easier ride, if they're clearly skilled but want to go on one of our easier rides because they're riding with family or friends, we just let them know what to expect. Maybe they want to do some extra riding on their own in the afternoon, but they know the level they're getting into.
That's so interesting. It's funny you mentioned e-bikes, because they really do. I mean, they allow everybody to be able to ride together. It's really neat. And just the fact that you guys do consult like that, where like if I'm from Florida, it's all flat. And so you get to a place like Italy and you're like, oh my gosh, look at the altitude here. Even hiking. I mean, I actually personally have really not done much hiking in Italy, but going to Colorado where family lives versus Florida, you're like, it's not my legs, it's my lungs. Like, I didn't realize this is so much more difficult with the altitude. So it's good to know those things. And you guys know what you're doing. You've been doing it. And I want to know, just on a little more of a tip side, what would you recommend or what are some of the big things that you recommend that typically your customers, when they're coming on a tour with Tourissimo, may not know to bring and pack?
Well, my number one rule, whether it's on tour with us or any trip anywhere, is to always pack a bathing suit. I know it sounds counterintuitive for a cycling tour, or maybe you don't think it's the right time of year, but you never know when you're going to encounter a hotel with a beautiful spa or hot springs, or there are just so many opportunities where a bathing suit is necessary, no matter where you're going or the type of trip. Everyone has a bathing suit. They don't take up a lot of space. So even if you don't end up using it, it's not like you're bringing some giant piece of sports equipment like skis or something. Throw the bathing suit in your bag and just have it there. Usually we'll be able to tell you what services there are, but even you traveling on your own before or after, right? I've been in so many situations where I wish I had a bathing suit and didn't. So now I always carry a bathing suit. Of course, for our cycling tours, right? You don't have to get yourself all kitted up like a pro cyclist. A lot of people I find are intimidated by that. They're like, oh, do I really need the spandex? No, you don't. We do recommend cycling shorts, right? Give you that little bit of cushion. But you can just wear any kind of sports top you want, right? You don't have to be so precise, I think, in the cycling gear.
Mhm.
What do you think?
No, you don't have to. You just be comfortable. Yeah. So what not to forget, I would say, on a practical side, medications and your prescriptions, because in a foreign country there might be different rules, different names for medication. So do not forget what you need in terms of medications.
That's great advice. And I'm laughing about the intimidation of the biking outfit because it really is. I got an aunt who does all those rides and she's like, here's your helmet, here's your shirt. Do you want gloves? And I'm like, we're only riding like 5 miles down this. She's like, put your gloves on. Here are your sunglasses. I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
But it's good to know, but it's also like I would 100% agree with you on those biking shorts though. Those are a must, or else you're not gonna have much fun down there afterwards.
Yeah, second shorts and helmet. As
Yes.
far as the rest, yeah, no, you can break all the rules, no worries.
Now, I do want to kind of close our first episode, you guys, with just some Italian questions. I know we're going to dive more into the regions and specifics, but I know you guys are just well versed in Italy and the culture and the food. And I just kind of want to know, what would you say are some of your favorite Italian wines, and what are some of your favorite meals that they pair well with?
Well,
I'll
I
go
mean,
first.
yeah, I think I have two different answers for this. There's the answer, like if you're inside Italy, traveling around on your own, just get whatever the local wine is to go with the local food. You don't even have to know. I mean, there are hundreds of great varieties. It's impossible to know them all. But just ask your waiter, what's the local red wine? When we go out, wherever we are, we always get the house wine, which is on tap. You can get a half-liter of red, half-liter of white. Is it going to be the best wine you've ever had? No, but it's going to pair perfectly with the local food. So in Italy, just go with local wines. Outside of Italy, there aren't hundreds of varieties of red Italian wines to get. It's much more limited. Back in the US, for example, I've been into lately Montepulciano di Abruzzo, which is different from the Montepulciano from Tuscany. It's actually the name of the grape, and it's from the Abruzzo region. It's a beautiful, medium-bodied red wine, kind of easy to find. I order it online a lot. When I go home, I always have wine shipped to the house, so I get that. It's lesser known, and it's a great price point because nobody really knows what it is. Sometimes wines are just like Chianti is wonderful, but sometimes it's overpriced because it's, that's the one everyone's heard of. So Montepulciano di Abruzzo, medium bodied, nice, acidic, good balance of tannins, red that pairs well with lots of different things. We celebrated Thanksgiving early with my family when we were back, and it was one of the wines we had with Thanksgiving. For white wines, I really love Friulano, which is a white wine from the Friuli region, which is again medium bodied. Another one we had with Thanksgiving. I also really love different types of Vermentino, which is a nice minerally light white wine. Goes well with delicate seafood, fish, great for summertime, fried seafood as well. So those are some of my choices that I look for when I'm back in the States or just outside of Italy.
Yum. Oh my gosh, you guys are making me hungry. And I do want to know, this is a little bit on another note, but how has over tourism affected Italy, in your opinion?
Well, overtourism has affected parts of Italy. There is still a big chunk of Italy, rural Italy, who can benefit from tourism. So for sure, certain areas have been affected. They are trying to mitigate over tourism. It's been a little bit of a trial and error. We're monitoring what Venice is doing, Cinque Terre for the hiking trails is doing, and Florence. For sure, we're at the fork where we cannot take more tourists to those destinations. We also try to educate tourists, about the right choices that can be simply go at a different time. You don't say we won't tell you what to do, but maybe we'll advise you. We'll tell you about possible alternatives, or we'll tell you about better times when to visit certain places. Again, it's a sold out destination, but the space, it's what it is. And if places are too crowded, yes, you can check the box, but you're not going to enjoy yourself.
No, they're overcrowded. You're waiting in line to catch the train, to catch a ferry. The more chance of being pickpocketed or things like that happening. Prices are going to be 3, 4, 5 times more than areas even a half hour away. The level of service you're going to get is disinterested at best and mean at worst, right? That's not to say, as Beppe said, to avoid these places at all costs. I advise people, say you're coming in for one of our tours, and people want to tack on, oh, I want to go to Venice, Rome, all these places. I say, pick one. Why don't you go to Venice this time before and after the trip? You're on a trip in the north. And why don't you spend 5 days in Venice and not just go for the night? And why don't you get outside of the main island and go explore the Venetian lagoon? Did you know that there are vineyards in the Venetian lagoon? Did you know you can go have a Michelin starred meal there and go walking through the vineyards and there's hardly anyone there and it's just paradise and it's a 20-minute, not even vaporetto ride outside of Venice? So dive deeper. Venice still wants your tourism dollars, and it's not reasonable to think everyone would leave. And if everyone left, right, the economy there would collapse. We just need to put things back into balance and even spread people out within the region. So we say pick 1 or 2 popular areas, deep dive, get to know the locals, spread out a little bit, spend your dollars at the local places, right? Buy local souvenirs, ask locals for advice, and then the rest of your time, get off the beaten path. Come on one of our tours. We'll take you somewhere totally unexpected. And I think that's a good, reasonable balance, right?
Yeah, that's a great point where I feel like I had some family members that had gone to Italy and they'd done we bop around to a couple different cities, we see the main things, and then they went back for just like a week. And again, like stayed in Rome, but kind of did a deep dive and just it almost turns it a little more into a vacation when you're not like, oh, we gotta get your suitcase, we gotta go to the next hotel. And so it is kind of nice to just say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna stay here and then I'm gonna travel to things around and then I'm gonna be able to just go back to where I'm unpacked and sleep in the same place at night. So, it's different where you can have a more adventurous vacation, you can have a more relaxed vacation, but it's like you guys said, there's so much to see in every city, every area that you could stay there a whole month and not run out of things to do within that area. So, and then the times to visit Italy is a great point. Now, when do you typically recommend? And I know this is probably based on what people want to do and, whether they like summer or winter, when their vacation time is, but what are typically some of the best times that you guys recommend for your customers to visit Italy?
May and June are wonderful, September and October, and then even into November for the South. Beppe's leaving for Sardinia tomorrow. They'll probably be able to go swimming. They're talking about that they're doing a little guide retreat at the end of the year. So beautiful, beautiful time of year to visit the South, even right now. I would avoid August at all costs. It's hot. It's crowded with tourists. All of the Italians are on vacation on the seaside and in the mountains. So any stores, any restaurants that are open, like nobody really wants to be there. You're going to get terrible service. It's going to be hot. So I don't even advise my family to come visit me in August in Italy. Stay away. July is nice. We actually run a lot of tours up in the Alps. Dolomites, Western Alps, great time for cycling and hiking up there. It is high tourist season, but just wonderful time of year to be there. And we know some great trails, especially in the Western Alps. Perfect, July. But yeah, for most locations, what we call the shoulder season, so spring and then fall, perfect times. If you're coming to visit some of the cities, maybe not on tour with us, but just coming, I love Rome in the winter time, Christmas time. All of the cities are, of course, decorated well. I was just thinking last year we were in Rome a couple times in the winter. One of the main dishes in Rome is the artichoke, made different ways. Artichoke is in season from February to April. So if you ever find yourself in Rome in February, you're going to have the best artichoke. All right. So weather might not be the best, but crowds will be less and you're going to get an even more fabulous meal. So surprises all times of year, except August. Stay away in August.
I love it. August is hot everywhere. United States, Europe, anywhere in Europe. August I'll stay inside or go to the pool.
That's right.
And one more question about the food, because you mentioned it again. I would like to know, when you guys or when your tour guides do the tours, do they plan the dinners at specific restaurants for the whole group? Or do they kind of say, you guys can wander, here's some recommendations?
The
We
mix.
plan 90% of the meals.
Mhm. We offer a few choices usually, or there'll be appetizers that are pre-planned for the table. Perhaps you'll have a choice of 2 or 3 different types of pasta or main dish to try. So you do have a little bit of choice, but it can be overwhelming, especially if you don't know the local cuisine. So we found that people like for our guides to plan a lot of it in advance and maybe just give a few choices on certain nights.
Well, now that you mention it, I'm wondering if the structure is great, but also with the language barrier, and if you're in smaller towns, I'm not sure if everybody in smaller towns speaks English, so that may be a little bit difficult and, intimidating to go to dinner by yourself in a smaller town and be like, "Can I just pointing down the
Understand.
menu, can I have this?"
That's it.
Yeah, no, we find, I mean, I think we started this conversation where I was saying, that's one of the things I love about travel are those uncomfortable situations, but that gets tiring. And that's not also not for everyone. I think that's why I'm running the business, right? Because I like to take care of those details for people, but I find most of our guests, especially those, I mean, everyone's so busy these days. We're all working hard, no matter what your job is. And part of vacation is being able to shut the brain off. Right? Even if you're someone who does like that challenge, it's just nice to put your trust, to put your vacation in someone else's hands and know that they're going to make the right choices for you. So people say that to us and to our guides
Yes.
over and over again. I don't have to think. And that's just so nice, right? You can see them like physically, like mentally they're calming down and physically they're relaxing because of that. And it is a beautiful thing. And it's an important part of when you go on this type of vacation, right? To know those details are taken care of for you. And to go with a company that shares your values, shares your vision of what you want your vacation to be. So, like the choices we make for you, you may not like them all, but you like most of them and come out on the other end feeling refreshed and satisfied with the whole experience.
Right, let the experts do their job and you and just enjoy your trip.
Mhm.
Well, Heather, Beppe, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for telling me all about Tourissimo. Lastly, I want to know where our listeners can connect with you.
Yeah, so our website is tourissimo.travel, not .com, it's .travel. And then we're on Facebook at Tourissimo Travel and also on Instagram at Tourissimo.
That's all the time we have for today. If you guys enjoyed this episode with Beppe and Heather, check them out at www.tourissimo.travel and stay tuned for our deep dive into the ins and outs of the 20 regions of Italy.
Hey, everybody, it's your travel brat, Nat. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Do you have expertise on a cool travel destination? If so, we would love to have you on our show. For a chance to be a guest on the show, visit thetravelbrats.com, then go to About Us, then Collab.